There we go. I better set it back because Josh is going to be in here.
All on the Spanish baseball. Dedicated issue on Spanish baseball. Or Spanish-speaking players in the U.S.
Let's ride, things, ride, things, ride, things, ride, things. Oh, nothing you heard of could ever come close to this. No, I'm not dreaming about sexual healing. It's a little bit deeper than hugging and kissing. Think a little higher, my spirit's on fire. I've been thinking to myself and thinking about you and knowing what I got in this world with you. So let's take a ride, find you that special place in your soul. Let's ride, we can fly away. It's making love to your mind is magic. It's moving a sensual thing. Let's ride and we can fly away.
Hey, bud. Walk in the G-Wiz, the number 3 in the G-Wiz computers. Walk straight in there, right down the hallway, and then you're gonna turn left down to the studio. All right, bud. That's Josh. Hey, big guy. Say, how are you? High five, dude. What's your name? Aiden. Nice. You gonna sit and help Dad? I'm glad you're here. Really glad you're here.
He might play my phone.
That's okay.
You want to play some video games?
Dad's gonna have a seat here with you and put his headphones on, and you can watch how we make magic. That's
sir.
You know, good to see
Good to see
you. You too. Congrats.
Oh, dude, thank you. Thank you, buddy.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was. We'll take it.
All right. Yeah. And so what's it called? What's it called? The belt?
The organization?
Yeah.
Professional Fighters League.
Okay. Professional Fighters League. And I'm gonna let you talk about who you fought. Because that was.
Did you get to watch?
Yeah. Well, I watched some of it. I didn't get to watch it all. But that was one hell of a fight.
We were going, man.
Well, your counterpunching was your best asset.
Trying.
All right, load the headphones up.
Yeah.
Let's and you know the deal on the mic, so.
Oh, America! Are you serious? It is showtime, baby! Here we go! Grand Jam Slam! Man, it's awesome! 360 Mindset. Sharing skills and drills wrapped by stories from elite performers and your favorite sports pro. So take your first step. Speak your first word with a foundation of positive thought that comes from 360 Mindset and your host, Coach Whiteman. Whoa, Whiteman. Let's get started. No excuses, no regret.
Absolutely, it's a Friday, 11 o'clock or thereabouts. Got a great show today with two really special guests. One you've met before, Josh Cuddly Bear Copeland, and his son Aiden.
Yeah.
Aiden's here helping us out. He's chilling with the phone and computer games, which, today, kids, disposable thumbs, it's all good stuff. They have none of the things we have in our head that clog up our days. They're just free and going for it every day, which is what makes me a living, because I help clear the mind of the adults to get them to a place where they can deliver. And that takes some courage, which is today's theme. Courage about who you are, what you represent. And Josh is one of the greatest examples of courage as far as I'm concerned. He participates in a sport of professional wrestling, ultimate fighting. I mean, all the genres that envelop that professional wrestling name and title. But I want to talk about the focus on change that courage requires. When you need courage, how do you engage that? How do you get it, in your soul, in your cells, to bring it forward? And then, for everything you do, finish. Make sure you finish, man. So we're talking about the courage to focus on change, engage it, and finish. And we're going to share a little bit about some other sports that have some focus on change. I'm going to hold this up for Henry. It's the ESPN issue. Let's see here, Henry. What's the issue? It is June 26th issue of ESPN. They did a big focus on those baseball players that come to us from other countries, the Dominican, Mexico, a lot of Spanish-speaking players. And Manny Machado is on a roll with the Orioles, the Baltimore Orioles. He is just excelling beyond the numbers of Hall of Famers well, we'll talk about those in a bit. But Manny Machado is one of the focus people in ESPN magazine that we're going to talk about. So let's define some courage. Courage is what brings you to a place that you're going to accomplish great things, and many times great things you didn't expect you're going to get to that level, that highest level. So I'm going to say good morning to Josh and ask him to help me understand, why do you do what you do?
That's a good question. People ask me that all the time, especially after a fight.
Yeah.
They see my face all busted up, this and that. But for me, it's funny how, I mean, you're sitting there with me. It doesn't even look like I have anything on my face. And
no, you got good surgeons.
man, it's crazy how fast the body can heal, and even though how bad it looks, for me, I sit there and think, for a week, the swelling, the bruising, the cuts, the stitches are healing, blah blah blah, and for me, it's like, but well, what's a week if I can, start a legacy for my family?
Oh, absolutely. And the Professional Fighters League was the place that happened recently. You won a wonderful fight. I saw the outcomes of that were obviously imprinted on your face when you wiped away all of the fluids. I'm sure you had some, as you said, bruises and some cuts, but the body heals itself amazingly quicker than we give it credit for many times. What does this mean for you, this fight and winning that fight?
Man, that was huge. So the Professional Fighters League, they were World Series of Fighting, and they wound up getting new owners and decided to change the name and the format to Professional Fighters League. And come January 2018, they're trying to do more of yeah, I'd say league
Yeah.
aspect to it, to where the season, everybody will start off with no points, and then we're guaranteed 3 fights from January to August, and through those 3 fights, they're going to give us points based on first, second, third round finishes,
Yeah.
decisions, all that.
How does one get ranked then? There's going to be a ranking system to establish the placement, right? Or is it just by
No,
wins and losses?
It'll literally be, we all start with
Clean slate?
yeah, 0 points
Okay.
at the beginning of the year, and then at the end of August, through those 3 fights, who the top 8 guys that have the most points will be put into a tournament.
Nice.
And around Octoberish, we'll have 2 fights in one night to get it down to the 2 finalists.
Yeah.
And then the 2 finalists will fight for $1 million in December. And yeah.
So are you in that play of that format right now, and that fight gave you points?
It did not.
Okay.
No, so that won't start until January.
So, 2018 then.
Correct.
Okay.
The season will be January to August. And
Well,
that's where we'll.
Sounds like this last fight kind of established. I mean, you already were credible as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think in the industry, when one looks at who and what is said by whom about you, you've got a good rep about how you fight, why you fight, and the skill and training you put into it. So I think that goes without saying about your cred in both the arena as well as on the street. So you've established a foundation for yourself, a basis based on performance. So from here going forward, you come out of that fight, got a little beat up, won the fight against a true great competitor.
Yeah.
And the courage for you in making the necessary changes to get ready for January 2018 are what? What's going to be different or new or the same? Maybe all 3 of those things for you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd say pretty much nothing changes.
Okay.
You know, I train full time anyways, and
Mm-hmm.
just keep plugging away, trying to learn, be better every time I step in there. And, you know, for me in this last fight, it was, I would say it's the biggest win of my career, just because this guy's been around. I mean, he was fighting when I was a junior in high school,
Yeah.
you know, back in 2001. And, you know, for me, I mean, he's a stud, you know, he's great athlete. I couldn't believe how big he was,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah. And so that was a huge name to have on my resume. And
Well, I saw some of the stills of the crosses and jabs that you let out there, and you measured pretty well, but they were good extensions.
Yeah.
Because of his ability to, anticipate, but also his athleticism to be at a distance to measure you. So it was a great fight. It was very well tactically a really good fight for both of you. I really
thank you.
And I know that you're a counterpuncher. You compliment yourself on being a good counterpuncher. And it definitely was part of your game plan for that fight.
Yeah, this one was I definitely went more offensive too, and that chasing him down.
If you know Josh well enough, and he says I'm more offensive, I go, really? What does that look like? Because I'm usually seeing him like, taking something and then giving something back, and so to hear him say he's offensive, it's really puts a smile on my face. But I have to. Yeah, I saw that. It was definitely obvious. It wasn't just a subtle part of the game in that particular fight. So, how does Aiden and the family fit into your training?
Man, that's I'm blessed with a phenomenal wife.
Yeah.
She works at Children's Hospital, and it's nice because she works 3 days a week, so 3 12s, and so most of the time she's able to take care of him, and so I can get out and do the things that I do. But
nice.
And man, he's my little buddy. He just turned 4 the end of June, and
it's a great age, isn't it?
Took him in, got him doing some jiu-jitsu already.
Yeah, nice.
He's he loved it.
Is he a thrower or is he a like to be thrown?
I think he's both.
Yeah.
He loves to fly, and he loves to.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Wrestle and grab you and go. So.
Yeah, I've got 4 grandsons, and they're like a pile of humanity.
Right.
They're just always dealing it up. And my daughter-in-law, she's not quite. What are they doing? Because she was raised with girls, sisters and aunts and stuff, and I go, that's what they do.
It's so funny.
But they scream and they holler. I go, that's what they do.
Yeah. That was I'd say a couple weeks ago. I hear my wife yell, "Why do you do that?" And I'm like, "What did he do?" And she's like, "He stomped on my foot." he's always trying to hurt me, like different things, you know, and I just laugh and I'm like, it's not why does he do it? It's he's a boy. He likes to,
he's
you know,
trying
he takes
new
our
things.
dog, pinches her lips, pulls her ears,
Yeah.
pulls her tail.
How far can I go?
Right. Oh, dude. And it's,
Oh, that's awesome.
It's funny how it'll bring me back to when I was little, you know, and just figuring things out for the first time.
Well, and
doing
that's
stuff
a
like that.
great those little bits and pieces of family and performing together is a way to segue into the engage part. You know, we deal with change. You go fight, you have change, you're going to deal with that. And you didn't call it change because you didn't change anything about your agenda, but going from that win attitudinally is a change in probably your intensity in this training. Because now, look I got this agenda
Heck
in
yeah.
2018. So now the engagement part, how far can I go? Just like with Eden with the dog and, you know, stomping on his mom's foot. He's going, how far can I go? How far should I go? And through that experimentation of engaging things, engaging people, you learn about limits.
Right.
You know, because eventually I'm sure mom says, don't do that.
Or
don't do that.
Yeah. About to drop the hammer.
Yeah, exactly. So on the finish part, Josh, what are you looking to finish through this training process? Are there any particular things you're looking for to accomplish in preparation for 2018 that may be a little bit larger or more intense than you've trained before?
Man, for me, I just want to become more of a mixed martial artist.
Okay.
You know, and that's I rely heavily on, I'd say, my boxing.
Yeah.
You know, and something I'm trying to learn to do more is throw kicks, trying to wrestle more.
Yeah.
Be able to just, you know, I've done jujitsu the longest, you know, but it's, I don't know, for me, I would like to not always just have to keep it on my feet if I, you know.
Well, with jujitsu, you have the advantage of apparel. You know, you get to grab something, you know, within the ring, it's shorts.
Well, for
not
sure,
a lot of grabbing in shorts.
When I'm grappling, it's usually always no gi, and so it's
good. That's good. So the training is without the gi, and you're learning how to
just
find the shoulder, get under the armpit, grab the back of the head,
absolutely,
that kind of thing. Or I know that one guy he had when I was actively in it. Now my body can't take jujitsu like it used to, but he had this pair of hands. He'd make a C out of his hand and grab the dimple in the back of my ass and pull it. It's like he had a lever point right there. He would just, and it was just such powerful hands. And I went, where in the heck did you get those? And he would just twist me into a place where he then would I didn't know where I was.
Right.
He had me, and then I was on the ground, and I was wrapped in a pretzel. And it's so yes, I understand that those connection points is probably what you're talking about when you engage the opponent in those holds, because now you're close quarters. And you get on the floor, you're looking for those lever points and that way to get into a submission. I'm guessing, you know, get the submission hold so you get the win. But that's power against power. So are there any things you're doing with the different arts and strength so that, because there's a thing right now in football. I don't know if you heard about our some of the wide receivers for the Broncos are losing weight. They think that's going to make them faster. So there's a connection between body mechanics, body mass that they think is associated with speed and skill. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are about, you know, because you're a good sized guy, you're a big guy, you're heavyweight. So do you ever think about, okay, I'm going to do more jujitsu, try to get more proficient at that. Do I need to have more flexibility, or do I keep adding power to accomplish that part?
No,
And here's Eden. He has something to say. Do you have something to say? Who is this guy right here?
Dada.
That's right. What does he do for fun?
Throw me in the air.
I like
He throws you in the air, really? Well, if he throws you in the air, how high do you go? You go really, really high? Yeah.
All the way up there?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Are you going to be a wrestler someday too, or are you already a wrestler?
I'm not a wrestler.
You're not a wrestler.
Do you like jujitsu?
Yeah, that's really
Heck
cool
yeah.
stuff. Well, you know, Aiden is kind of our barometer today. If he's patient, we're patient.
Right.
If he's in with us, we're with it. So we're going to keep moving a little bit, Aiden, and you can listen to us and help us a little bit as we go. So what are the things you're going to do kind of make that bridge between the physical side and the emotional side of the wrestling. That's okay. You can do that one.
Man, so you're talking about gaining or losing mass to for speed, different things like that. You know, for me, the crazy thing that
That's okay. Dad's more worried about it than I am. You're good. You're good. If you want to play your game over in the chair, that's awesome too.
So when I was up in Seattle, they had just approved a new 225-pound weight class. So
nice.
You know, when I'm in shape and walking around, I don't know, around 240, 245 anyway. So that's a whole new thought. Maybe look at cutting some weight, getting down to the 225s.
Well, in the physical side of things, what I study is that what the athlete wants to do. And when I have these questions posed to me, I ask them about what do you feel about, because it's tensile strength. You know, it's power at the joint rather than power in the mass.
Right.
So if you want to be stronger at leverage, it's not going to be so much how much mass you have, but how much strength you have in the joints to grab it and pull it, or grab it and push it. And that isn't necessarily mass. It's a matter of quickness to the point and then quickness through the motion.
Right.
It's similar analogy would be to a golfer. There's a lot of small guys that are golfers, and they can pound the living daylights out of the ball. And you ask yourself, well, how do they do that? Well, it's because they have the tensile strength in those joints, those flex points that get them to get the club moving fast to launch the ball. So like what you said with kicking, if I want to be a better kicker, it's many times when you engage the kicking motion, it's how quickly do you get to that place and then launch the kick. So it doesn't necessarily mean how big is my glute, how big is my hamstring. From a muscle standpoint, it's how quickly can I engage the joints to make it happen.
Right.
So there we get into flexibility and repetitive resistance to that flexibility. So it seems to be a movement. I'm seeing a lot of it in football. Anderson, he became a competitive biker in the off season to rehab his knee. So he lost like 20 pounds as a running back. And you kind of go, gosh, is he going to be able to sustain that? Demaryius Thomas lost 18 pounds. He went on to a non-meat diet. And they're saying, geez, is he going to have the muscle mass to be able to sustain the hammering he's going to take from defensive backs? But that's all within the mindset of the athlete, which is the segment we're talking about right now is mindset. We're gonna move to skill a little bit and talk to Josh more specifically about those plans that he's got for not necessarily changes, but maybe he's going to enhance something of his program, or he's going to look at something different as far as the makeup of how he prepares for this wonderful thing that Pro Fighters League has created for him. $1 million, really? $1 million.
Yeah.
That's going to make you kind of get after it. Nice stuff. Okay, so take a little bit of a break here. We're gonna bring up the ESPN thing again. Because Manny Machado is featured in the ESPN magazine at June 26th. But I also want to point out some things about this magazine, this issue is about courage. And I'm kind of promoting ESPN. They're doing a great job of capturing not just the skill of the athlete and the skill of the sport, but they're capturing the essence of the athlete and their emotions. People like Hanley Ramirez in his quote where he says, "I've always been a little stingy with money. I like to know everything that's going on with it because I'm the one that works for it." Now that's something to be put on your wall as a newcomer into any sport where you're making money, is to be aware of where it comes from because I'm the one making it. And it takes courage to be that stingy, as he says. Or here's Miguel Montero, with the Cubs. One of the greatest catchers I've seen. He's got a great pair of hands, and he manages the game like nobody I've ever seen. And he says this: respect your opponents so that they respect you. But passion should not be confused with the lack of respect. You know, there's some intensity with Josh. I've seen it. But when he comes out of the ring, the cuddly bear is there. So you've got the passion. And many times that passion, somebody might say, well, man, how is he such a nice guy to the ring when he's such a aggressive, hard-hitting fighter in the ring? I said, well, that's the respect. You respect the opponent, but you get after it.
Yeah.
So that has a lot of things to do with courage in the ring. And I wanted to point that out. The other thing I want to talk about is the RMP 16. That's on my website at 360mindset.com. Go take an RMP 16. Why should you take an RMP 16? Because you want to find out how great you are and at what degree your greatness fits in certain categories of your behavior. Like, are you a courageous person? And if you are, to what degree are you a courageous person? And how does that fit to my desire to be orderly, or my desire to have family, my desire to be around other people versus being by myself? So go to my website when you get a chance and take a look at the RMP 16 and sign up. Take that for yourself. Last thing I want to tell you is on October the 5th this year, we're going to have the Sparking Your Awe seminar. We had our seminar, first one yesterday, went wonderfully. We're going to repeat that again on October the 5th. Okay. Here's my question for the skills part to set it up for Josh. Why do high performers rely on their connection to courage? I mean, look, for example, you're walking down the ramp, all right? You're in the arena. The lights are flashing, there's somebody in front of you leading you to the arena, and you're doing whatever you do to get the crowd and yourself aroused. But I'm sure in your head you're thinking, I'm going in the ring with this guy. It's a cage. I'm not going anywhere. Once I'm in there, I'm not going anywhere. That has got to start to spark some emotions that are related to courage and respect and integrity. And any word you want to pick. What are you thinking, Josh, when you start walking? How do you engage that courage? What do you do for yourself?
And for me, it's funny you say that. I recall one time when, earlier in my career, I got in the cage. I remember them sitting there, the refs asking, "Are you ready?" Asking the other guy, "Are you ready?" I remember the cage door locking, and I remember sitting there thinking to myself how what a crazy sport I'm in, because it's the object of my sport is literally to go until either your opponent says stop or you're going to kill me, or the referee jumps in and says stop or you're going to kill him.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like when you sit back and think about like that, it's like it's actually kind of creepy, and
yeah.
And for me, it's a lot of people will never know all the emotions going through that. I literally think you feel everything from excited to scared to nervous to just every emotion your entire body can feel. And the fear of the unknown. I don't know if I'm gonna go to the after party and celebrate afterwards. I don't know if I'm going to the ER. I don't know if I'll ever fight again. Man, that's it's definitely a crazy time, and for me with courage, I've been listening to a lot of David Goggins stuff, and to me it's really cool understanding his mindset, and he's all about mental conditioning and all this stuff, and to me it's cool how us as human beings, if we're given the easy path, we really turn out to be horrible human beings. Every single one of us grows and becomes better and understands life better through the hard times, through all that.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because in the skill segment, I put the skill segment right after mindset for a reason, is because it's you have to be challenged to get better.
Yeah.
Now, in your world, your challenges can hurt. I mean, literally hurt. But that doesn't mean challenges have to come only in that way. There's also, as you said, when you're coming to the arena, you're thinking through things. You're challenging your mindset to prepare itself for the physical contest you're going to be in. If I go to work in an office and I'm going to sit down, is there anything that I can do to challenge myself to get better? To not just be a bump, not just be a body in a chair. Well, yeah, there are. And in fact, I do this routinely with my athletes, because many times, because they're so physically prowess, they're so good physically, they don't think about that challenge of the mind to activate the body's neural systems to increase response time, improve resiliency, overcome fear. Fear is a great teacher. You can have moments of fear in the moment.
Yeah.
When somebody punches you and you feel what it does to your face and how you're turning. Yeah. Well, we don't want to do that all the time. Just in the wrestling arena. Yeah. Yeah, and we were talking about Aiden before the show started about punching and courage and that kind of stuff. And little kids, they learn from doing, and many times parents don't give their kids a chance to learn by doing. We're too into everybody gets a ribbon,
Right.
everybody gets a trophy, and that's fine, I guess, from an emotional standpoint. But it's not challenging.
Right.
It's not challenging to do that. What is challenging is to let them have a life where they're free to act out what they think about, with the guidance of a parent or a loved one around them to say, no, that was too hard. Don't do it that way. Do this. Or no, don't do that at all, because that will hurt people.
Right.
But it's within a controlled environment. And what I like about what you said, Josh, about the arena and what you go into is it's as close as anybody can get without being in the theater or arena of where life is the outcome or death is the outcome. Our military personnel that go out into the theaters and perform that way, they're going through the same thinking that you are. They're just not walking into a cage.
Right.
They're walking down a street, into a building, and trying to figure out where they're going to be and who's going to be on the other side of that door. And in many cases, they're going to practice the same things that you practice in getting ready for the cage. So as I say that, we're going to let Aiden do some more investigating out in the hall, which is fine with me. And we're going to start talking about mental conditioning and how we can do role plays and actually surprise each other in a way to get better at being our best and have the courage enough to make those changes. Now, Josh, don't worry about it, because Henry's out there and he's got grandkids and older kids of his own, and he's going to say, Aiden, you're awesome. And he's going to send him right back in here. So before we do that, see, look, there's Aiden right there at the door. Come on in, bud. Have a seat with us. We're going to keep talking about you. This is 360 Mindset Performance Talk with Josh Cuddly Bear Copeland and his wonderful partner, Aiden. I love it. He's a great guy. He's 4 years old, doing some great stuff, working with mom and being such a wonderful influence at home. We're going to talk a little bit about things that I use to help people focus called Time to Focus. It's on iTunes. It's a free game on iTunes that you can check out so that you can be better at being you. Please take a look at that. And I want to ask Josh now to kind of promote what's coming up next for you. What, other than training, obviously, you're getting ready for 2018 in January.
Yeah, so I chatted with my manager, and I'm healthy, and for me, if I'm healthy, I need to stay active and go. So it looks like the PFL has another card coming up in Vegas, and it's either October or November. So we're shooting to trying to get on that.
Okay.
And to me that would be perfect. If it's October, November, get a fight.
Yeah.
That'll give me a good month, 2 month
time to get ready and
to heal up if anything happens, and then be ready to rock and roll in 2018.
Yeah. So when is that date? Do you have a date yet?
I don't.
Okay. So make sure you let me know. Get through whoever the promoters are. Let KUHS Denver know, myself, so we can give you some pubbing about what's going on there. And if it fits, man, I'll be there.
Nice.
I'll be in Vegas and rock it with you. I'm going out there a little bit every once in a while now, but would love to see you fight, especially with the PFL. I'd love to understand what they're trying to do and how we can help them here at KUHS and 360 Mindset Performance Talk.
Yeah.
Because I like you. I love being around you, and now Aiden, can't have enough of him, that little guy. Yeah, I'm talking about you again, buddy. I'm talking about you. Because we're here at KUHSdenver.com talking with Josh Copeland. He's got some things coming up in 2018, which are really exciting, with the Professional Fighters League. $1 million at the end of the rainbow, man. That is motivation personified.
Dad,
We're almost done.
We're almost done, buddy.
look at this.
I see it.
This is watching.
Yeah, you can watch it in there. That's right. Aiden is going to be a technician. He's going to be the guy who's going to cover the fights.
Look at this.
Yes, it's awesome. This is awesome. I love this. All right, so our next segment is on mental conditioning, and we're going to talk about role playing. So when you get into when you're out there training and stuff, people in boxers talk about shadow boxing. They talk about getting in with a sparring partner and doing that kind of stuff. Now that's kind of what I'm talking about, but regarding role playing. But do you use any visualization techniques for yourself, where you're just imagining who that opponent is as you get closer to the fight, and how do you implement those things for yourself?
No, I think the meditation, the mental aspect of the game is huge.
Yeah.
That's the more time you can visualize and see, and to me it's better.
Well,
I know.
you
Hey,
you
we're
Aiden,
almost
you
done.
watch it. We're gonna stay in here. You watch it. He's awesome. Now, like you have to understand something. This is great. This is nobody does this, Josh.
Right.
Nobody brings Aiden into the studio. This is superb. I'm a pathfinder. I blaze the trail.
The kid loves buttons, so
Oh, this is awesome.
watch the buttons.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm loving it.
But I don't even remember what we were chatting about.
So you role playing and
Oh, yeah.
visualizing the. Oh, there you go.
Hey.
Come on in and sit down, bud. We don't want you to hurt yourself. Come on in and sit down. Yeah. Have a seat. Okay, and as Josh is doing that, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to get into role playing and deal with the change that you have to deal with in anticipating an opponent that you've probably never faced before, but you may have seen film on. So that's kind of where I'm taking Josh is in football, for example, we visualize things. I've got pitchers in baseball that visualize, where's the spot I want to hit without being like you're targeting it. You're trying to force the pitch into the spot. So with you, Josh, you're throwing punches, man. I mean, you're a great counter puncher. You've also said you want to be more offensive with your stuff, the kicks. So when you're practicing, do you envision where you want to put that punch as a way to practice when you're doing your meditation and visualization?
Come on. What did I say? Aiden, come on.
This is awesome.
Oh,
See, you know what? When I was a dad, I'm still a dad, but I've got 5 grandkids. And one of the things that I was always concerned about is we went to restaurants.
right.
Yeah, you go, well, the restaurant might throw us out if my kids don't behave. I was more concerned about how my kids behave rather than the people around me. I was more interested in what they had to say about me. So eventually, after my first child, I go, you know what? It's my kid. I don't care.
Right.
I'm going to feed my kid. I'm going to have fun here, and just don't worry about it. So that's what I say. Don't worry about it, because he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
So-
We're all learning.
So you've got these things that you're doing for yourself with regard to your mental condition, and I know that when you are such a great father and family man, and your family unit, both immediate wife and son, are great supporters, as well as this network you put around you. What does that do to your mental preparation and your conditioning? Are there any things that you go through as you consider them in your preparation for a fight? Are there things that you make sure you're clear your mind with? A lot of people use prayer. Some people use music prayer, and pictures. I mean, lots of different things come into play that helps you get into that mental condition that at some point when you've gone through the checkpoints, I'm ready.
Right.
What are those things for you?
Man, for me, I always try to separate what I do and when I'm with these guys.
Yeah.
So it's when I'm at home, I'm dad, doing this and that and
Yep.
enjoying and loving and not really thinking about anything, and when I'm at work, but there's like I talked about the visualization and the mental game, like it's crazy how similar from visualizing how to do things versus actually doing things, and for me, there's plenty of times at night when I'm just sitting there and nothing's going on, and I'll literally just visualize doing a new move or how to pull different submissions off or different angles that I can do, and the more we physically do it and the more it goes through our head, the more natural it becomes.
What's the time frame for you to train? Is like a month enough? 2 months enough? Maybe look at it this way. What's not enough? What would be a short amount of time that you'd be concerned about it being prepared for a fight?
Man, it's like I said earlier, I train full time, so I would say I'm usually staying around 70% ready.
Yeah.
So it's ideal for me. I'd like at least probably 7 weeks to
But you said a really important thing there. You're always ready. it to a certain degree. So you're doing things on the physical side to stay prepared so that when you go into that 7-week period of intensity, the body's ready to take that.
Right.
Because I know that I've got athletes in all different sports. In the off season, they're off.
Right.
And they don't do enough minimally to stay ready for the intensity.
Yeah.
So their mental condition is complete shut off rather than stay. That's great.
There's no way physically you can stay healthy if you're trying to stay 95, 100% ready all the time.
Yeah.
You know, that's too much of a load on your body, and your body can't.
Yeah, and here's a reference to that in another sport. The New York Mets had a great optimism for the beginning of the season with their talent, and they should have been. They have great talent, but what guys did in the off season caused them to get injured when they up the intensity in the regular season, and that's put them, they're 10 or plus games out of the wild card bid. More than likely, the Rockies are going to continue to open their distance up and get that wild card spot. But as I say that, I want to mention something from one of my favorite mentors in performance, which is John Wooden. For those of you who don't know who John Wooden is, hopefully you do. NCAA 9-time NCAA championship coach with the UCLA Bruins. Here's what he says about ambition properly focused. Now, we're talking about courage, but there's some ambition. The energy behind courage is ambition. I want that. And then that defines your courage and how much you want it. Well, here's some examples that are not athletic related that have ambition with purpose. Leaders like, well, you'll know this one, Bill Gates with Microsoft, or Gordon Moore, who started Intel. Another gentleman, which is right here in town, Herb Keller. Or not really in town, they're Arizona, I guess, is their headquarters. Herb Kelleher with Southwest Airlines. And here's words that Herb Kelleher has been described by: flamboyant and crazy. So how is that associated? Well, that's an ambition, that's a passion. This is a gentleman who's doing things a little differently, but getting results. Another person is Peter Lewis with Progressive Insurance. You've seen Flo on Progressive Insurance. Well, that was Peter Lewis's idea, and it hit big time. He's known as the wild man and rock star without any musical ability.
Wow.
That's what Peter Lewis is known for. Now, my guest today, Josh Copeland, he's known for being the cuddly bear. Now, one would say, well, that's great, that's awesome. And if you've seen the logo of his shirt and the cuddly bear, you know that fits him perfectly. But then when you ask yourself, well, what does he do? And you find out he's a competitive professional wrestler, you go, really? Cuddly bear? Seems like something that fits who you are, though, and defines your ambition to move forward. Right, Aiden? Is Dad a cuddly bear? Does he have good hugs? I think so. Come on in here and join us, bud. We're almost done. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you a question. Can you give me an answer to a question? Okay, well, you come over here. I'm going to play something on my phone for somebody else who gave us something. His name is Donnell Alexander. Now, see, this is on my phone. I want you to watch. You've got a game on your phone, right? This is Donnell Alexander. He plays football in Mexico, and he wants to go to Canada. And I asked him, how does he define courage? And here's what he said to me.
When asking the question of what is your courage, how do you get your courage? The courage for me starts with two things that come to mind. First off, will have to be my mother and my grandfather. The reason I choose them first is because as a kid I went through a lot of different stuff. Some times that even my best friends don't even know about. Just from being homeless to being without to being with. Me and my mother literally shared a can of great beans for a week amongst each other, and she never gave up, let alone allow me to. And she encouraged me every day to keep going, chase my dreams, do what I gotta do what I gotta do. She wants the best for me. And just seeing how she didn't let any negative situation affect her in life, no matter what. She'd have been through some things, I'd have been through some things, we've been through things together. And that right there was, for me, that shows me the courage to keep fighting. It makes me want to keep fighting.
That's Donnell Alexander, and he's a great spirit. And just like Josh Copeland is a great spirit, with a big guy like Aiden standing next to us about the theme for today, which is courage.
Do you have kids?
I have kids. I have kids' games on my phone. I do. And sometimes people tell me to stop playing my games because I get too excited about my games. Is that your favorite game on your phone? No.
Don't how to play it.
You don't know how to play.
You don't know how to play that game? Well, if you did, I know that you would get after it just like your dad gets after things. And just like anybody who's a competitor, they need ways to focus their attention on things and get them prepared for that. And that's why I want to recommend, again, go to iTunes, check out my app, Time to Focus, and also be ready for an update on Josh about 2018, but more importantly, in October-ish, or maybe November, for Vegas, October, November, possibly. We'll get a date for that and let you know about what Josh is doing, and hopefully they'll broadcast it. Maybe we'll get some pub with whoever.
NBC Sports.
Yeah, did they have a hookup with the Pro Fighters League?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
All the World Series, Professional Fighters League. It's all on NBC.
Nice. So NBC Sports, there's a plug there as well. So we'll get some information about that and share it with you as it comes available. So the last segment we have is on performance results. So I'm just going to ask you the question straight up. Josh, what do you want? You go through this stuff, you go through the mindset preparation, you go through the skill prep, you then use mental condition to wrap it all together in a package. The bottom line is, what are the measurement sticks for you through all of that process?
Man, for me, I just want to perform. You know, it's losing spark. It's part of the sport, you know.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I'm literally at a place. I'm not afraid of losing.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of not performing.
Yep.
And to me, if I go out there and I perform, it's even though it's a fight and it's about wins and losses, it's about giving the people what they want to see.
Well, let me give the people something they should look for, because that means we're getting into your head. And I know some things about your game and your fight. People, when you watch Josh fight, look for counter punches. Look for him to, maybe do an offensive move, back up, and the guy makes a move, and there's the counter punches coming. And Josh is a setup. It's like a 2 or 3 step kind of move where you're attacked, you move back, he does something, and you get him with the counter. The next thing he mentioned was he wants to improve his kicking. So look for him doing more kicking offensively, not necessarily counter on the defensive side, because you said, I want to be more offensive. I want to improve my kicking game. So not that this is going to sound like I'm being too critical of Josh. I'm not. I want to see his kicks come above the belt.
Got these short, stubby legs.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Well, and in the moment, I mean, your footwork, you might be in a stance, you can't get it there, or it just doesn't make it where it needs to be. But again, that goes back to the prep and the visualization of what you're trying to accomplish. So that's to look for. Audience, fans, look out there for Josh getting better kicks, more frequent kicks in an offensive way, along with his wonderful counterpunching, which has been a symbol of his skill sets. And it goes to what John Wooden says about ambition. If he's going to accomplish those things, he's going to put an energy and ambition behind getting there. The last thing I want to mention is that complete martial artist, where you're doing the jiu-jitsu, you're doing the karate, you're doing the tai chi or muay thai or whatever else, other things you're incorporating. Wrestling, you mentioned, putting that into play. So when he's on the ground, when he's on the mat, in the arena, in the cage, and you're seeing Josh doing more with his legs, maybe that's going to be an outcome of him improving his kicking, because he's got more flexibility and power in his legs to put someone into those wonderful tight holds around the hips and upper legs, and then trying to get the hold in for the wrestling move. So those are some things to look for. That way, you're engaged. You have the courage to get engaged and watch a fight that is going to finish in Josh's favor. So tell me how close I was in being accurate and what that might give for you. Was that pretty close for the fans?
You're there. Heck
okay.
Yeah.
So that way you can cheer with real sincerity.
That's right.
Because you know what to be looking for. And I've given you a path to kind of Josh's mindset in how he wants to perform and what results he wants to have. Now I'm going to ask a tough question you may be asking yourself or have asked yourself several times. You're not the youngest pup in the arena. What are What are you evaluating and measuring to identify when enough's enough? Hold on, we have an update.
You did it.
Oh, good job. Do it again, bud. Do it again. So what are your measuring sticks, buddy, to stay in the game?
To me, it's not about how old we are. It's about how long can we go without blowing out your knee, your back, your shoulder. You know, and man, there's some of the most talented, most gifted athletes out there completely blow out their knee when they're 20 years old and never are able to go very far. You know, and I mean, it's funny in sports. The name of the game is stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's for me. I'm 34 years old. I love where I'm at and what I'm doing, and so man, as long as my body holds up, I want to keep performing, keep competing, and just loving on people along the way.
Good. Well, I think that's a good mental piece to the whole physical side, is the positivity you project with that desire to be the cuddly bear and loving with people and knowing who they are before they get to know you. That's awesome stuff. You're pushing people around the circle, as I call it. You're looking to improve others before yourself. And that's extremely healthy. So on the physical side, give our listeners, especially those competitors out there that listen, 2 things that you do every week, every day that just keeps you healthy.
That's, man, honestly, it's for me and what I do, I've learned that I would rather, instead of spar hard all the time, I'd rather tech spar. You know, instead of taking all the blows continuously to the head, I'd rather get the movements down, be comfortable in and out, just moving. You know, and instead of grappling hard, wrestling hard, I'd rather drill, continue go through the motions instead of always getting your body pounded.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I'm going to bring up the New York Mets again, because I mentioned earlier those guys in the offseason didn't train as hard as they should.
Yeah. And
when the intensity times came in the preseason training down in Florida, and then when they got into the first set of the games, they all had this aggressive mindset, this optimism to get after it really hard. They weren't prepared, but their mindset, go get it, go hard, and take more blows, and they probably should have paced themselves a little bit, been more in touch with, hey, I didn't get as intense as I should have off season, and I'm not as ready as I could be. So that also promoted to their injury factor. So what I'm telling you, listen to Josh, listen to yourself about who you are and what you want to accomplish with your efforts so that you can continue to the next step.
And do it for as long as you want.
Oh gosh, yes. That's extremely important.
Listen to your body.
Yeah.
And I know Donald Cerrone, he doesn't even spar anymore. The only time he's taking blows to his head is in the fights now.
Yeah.
He's still is grappling, hitting mitts, doing all the stuff that he needs to. He's just not continually taking the minor concussions all the time.
Let's do a shout out as we also talk a little bit about performance results. When you talk about the place you train, the gym down south, the local boy from Westminster that went and became successful with the Broncos, Lauren Landau.
Yeah.
Lauren Landau down at Landau Performance. You've worked with him. He's I'm sure has got his hands full many days with training people. How important is the results you get from those kind of support people for what you just said? Because some would have a conflict. What do you mean you're not going to go into sparring and take blows to the head? What are you, crazy? You got to know what it feels like. You got to go through that experience. You can't be afraid.
Right.
You can't be surprised. So how important is someone like Mr. Landau and his organization to your preparation mindset?
Man, Lauren's my strength and conditioning coach. So, to me, it's cool how, like, watching him with the NFL guys versus his Olympic swimmers and all the different people that are in there. Like, he literally tailors everything towards our sports.
Yep.
And it's nice having him that way. Going into fights, he's all about just core stability, core strength.
Yeah.
And everything we do, it's not about maxing out and getting the biggest muscles, this and that. It's, for our sport, it's core stability so that we can throw and go and do different things, and be in full control of our body.
Well, it sounds like the resilience you have physically is part of what Lauren gives you, because you're able to not necessarily be fresh at the end of a bout, but because it's a matter of how you get hit, what happens in the actual arena. But I'm guessing there's some bouts you go through the full rounds that you feel pretty good.
For sure.
Because of the level of training and specific attention that Lauren plays with on his agenda with you.
Yeah, that's one thing that I always thought, the better shape you're in, that it means you won't get tired. And yeah, that's what Lauren opened my eyes to. It's like, hey, it doesn't matter how good a shape you're in, you're always going to get tired. But it's about how fast can you recover.
Exactly.
How fast can you get your heart rate down and be ready to go for that next round.
Well, and that particular point, how fast you get your heart rate down, I'm going to ask you to think about the military guys, the paramilitary guys that are going to bust through a door. They're looking for 140 beats per minute of their heart. They do such practice with that. They know what that feels like. They also know what anything below 140, getting close to 110 feels like, because that oxygen input from that heart rate is not optimal for good brain processing, quick response time. So if you can practice to the point where like you're monitoring your heart and when 140 is there and you can feel it and you can get that feeling stuck in your head, when you're amped to get the kicks and the punches in. You also know when I back away between rounds, how to bring that down with certain exercises, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, getting into that meditative state while sitting on the stool and getting wiped out or whatever they're going to do for you. And that transition for the paramilitary guys, they have to go from 110 or lower to 140 that quick, bust through a door and maintain the 140. Because now the bullets are going and people are crashing around you. The chance for the 140 to go to 160 or higher, and you start to shut your brain off because you're just responding and not thinking, is higher. So I am so amazed at our military personnel in those paramilitary situations that have mastered that technique of how to do that. And I try to bring that to my athletes to help them with understanding how to regulate that.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be critical moments. Like, there's going to be critical moments. If you were just a boxer, I haven't gotten enough points.
Right.
I have to bring it up. Last round, I'm fatigued. How do I manage that and get myself back into a good place? Heart rate, breathing are good ways to do that. Those are great points to end on our performance results stuff. And in fact, as I begin to say goodbye to Josh, I'm going to put up on the sound machine my favorite song, and it has to do with breathing.
Perfect.
And it's my two young guys that when I was a math teacher, they were up-and-coming guitarists and singers. At this time, they were respectively 13 and 12.
Really?
Yeah. The young man who's vocalizing was 12. The guitar player was 13. They were buddies that grew up together. And they met out in Philadelphia, where the younger one was now living, for a visit. And they got in the studio and cranked out Breathe.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm always looking for not only the positives, but the performers, Josh, the people that have the character to go behind the results they deliver. And I think if I haven't said it to you, I'll say it to you now. I want the best for you. I want you always to be on the top of your game and have little guys like this in your corner. Aiden is an awesome kid. So we're going to say goodbye to Josh and Aiden today and thank them so much for being here. We're going to thank, Henry Archuleta and the crew at KUHSdenver.com. This is an awesome place to be. Hey, have a great day today, and try to smile as much as you can, because it makes you breathe. This is Lowell White, your host of KUHSdenver.com, 360 Mindset Performance Talk.
That's a cool story.
Okay, international people, you're still with us. Thank you so much. Check out Josh Copeland, Cuddly Bear Copeland on NBC Sports in Las Vegas after the first of the year. Oh, actually, maybe before the first of the year in Vegas. In October and November, we'll have more for you later. Peter, how's it going out there in London? Or England, not necessarily London. It's been a great day. Have a great weekend.